our panel. Doug Collins is a former Georgia Republican congressman, and Doug Schoen is a former Clinton advisor and Democratic strategist and pollster. Thank you both for being here. The panel of the Dougs. Let's just start off for a second here. President Biden, he says he was the most pro-union president ever. Doug Schoen, I want to start off with you. We're getting reporting here that advisors say that Biden plans a robust campaign trail schedule over the next 2 months. Is that a good idea for Vice President Harris to continue to be sharing the stage with President Biden?
It is most assuredly, Brian, not a good idea. And as robust as the president may think or want his schedule to be, I suspect strongly that the Harris campaign will want to trim that back and limit him strictly to 2 or 3 states like Pennsylvania, like Michigan, and Wisconsin. But the one thing Kamala Harris wants to do is to move herself and run away from the Biden-Harris economic record for practical political reasons. And the last thing she's going to want, Brian, is for her campaign to be tethered to that of Joe Biden and his record.
Congressman Collins, that seems to be this seems to be pretty much a softball for the Trump campaign, because if Harris keeps saying that she's going to be the candidate of change, it makes it harder if you continue to share the same stage with President Biden, does it not? So what do you expect for the Trump campaign, how they'll handle this?
I think I agree. This is a Doug Caucus agreement here. I mean, this is an interesting issue that there's no doubt. I mean, they keep paying a new way forward, a new direction. What is new about this? She is the vice president of the United States, and she is Joe Biden's vice president. She agreed with every one of these bad decisions that the Biden administration has made. She's been a cheerleader for those bad decisions. This idea that this is new, I think it is a softball for the Trump administration, but it can't for the Trump campaign into it, because he can compare his administration to what has actually happened now. But they've got to keep focused on this, because remember, the media is been giving them basically a pass as if this is a new candidacy, and there's a lot of less informed voters who may not see this. They may buy the rhetoric that she had nothing to do with what's going on right now. But look, this one is one in which I think the people are seeing it. They're voting. Basically, you're seeing it in the polls. They're gonna be moved by their pocketbooks, and that's what's happening right now. And you can't get away from the fact of the price of groceries and the price of gas and the things that they're having to do every single day.
Yeah, you just said stay focused, right? That's the key for President Trump to try to stay disciplined here. We'll see. Doug Schoen, we wanted to talk about the situation, obviously, in Israel. We just saw Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his press conference. The effect of this on the Harris campaign. You already have protests in Manhattan. College has started. There could be campus protests. How does the Harris campaign handle this now?
Well, with difficulty. If you saw, as I'm sure you did, Brian, at the convention, she spoke foursquare in support of Israel, but also said that the suffering in Gaza was unacceptable or worse. But given the brutality of Hamas shooting 6 Israeli innocent hostages at close range, with Israelis obviously close on their trail, emphasizes how horrific Hamas is as a terror organization, and how difficult, if not impossible, it is to do any kind of a deal with them. This creates a problem for President Biden and certainly for Vice President Harris as we go forward. I just hope that they stand foursquare with Israel, put the protests aside, and stand on the side of right, justice, democracy, and freedom.
And quickly here, Congressman, how does President Trump respond to this? Does he go and just support Netanyahu? That seems like a complicated thing to do, given the situation.
Well, I think it's not as complicated as Doug just said. I think you support Israel. Look, the pro-Hamas wing of the Democratic Party has the ear of Vice President Harris, and they have struggled with this for a while. They say the right things, in public, so to speak, but you're not seeing it backed up by a lot of things that are being done. And I think that's where President Trump just looks back and says, look, we need to continue a strong foreign policy where they're not going to be killing these hostages right before Israel got there. And I think this is the kind of thing that really can be frustrating for the Harris campaign and her ties to Joe Biden, because it's all mixed together. And if you see protests kick off, then it's going to be even worse.
There's always talk of the October surprise. It very well could be these protests being that October surprise and the reaction to them. Doug Collins and Doug Schoen, thank you so much for being here today.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.